What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. I'm back again to speak my mind and try to proclaim the truth. As always, I'd like to start with prayer. Um, Father, thank you again for breath and another day to go out here and to see what you have in store for us. I'm actually excited to face each day with you, and I just pray, Jesus, your spirit draw all to yourself, just like your word promises that all nations will bow and confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. I pray your spirit that brings love, that brings peace, that brings honor, that brings respect, Jesus. I pray this spirit over all your creation, Jesus, because I know that's what you desire is for all men to be saved. I pray all this in your beautiful and powerful name. Amen. All right, man, I've probably made 3 videos already trying to deal with this, and every time I make it and then I watch it again, there's things that I just don't like about it, about the way that it starts getting, the way the tone gets sometimes, the way it comes across, and I've just been thinking about these things. I've really been, pondering it and looking at it and trying to figure out a way where, where we can come together, where it doesn't sound condescending, where it's not just putting walls up automatically and just starting fights. I don't want to pick fights. I don't want to push buttons and stuff like that, which I know is impossible. When we're talking about real life issues and these things, I'm not scared to touch these things, but I just want to approach them in a way that doesn't antagonize when I can help it, and that's the kinds of things that I saw. I may, and I think we all do this, but I'm only talking about myself right now because that's what I am working with. But I would go off on these things, but I make a lot of assumptions. And, I always have been saying and understanding that that's one of our biggest problems, especially I'm coming from the Democratic side. Because the, see, even just saying Democratic side, I've already thrown up walls of anyone who feels like they're on that side, who relates with that side. But I just want to take a step back. I don't want to be a Republican. I don't go around calling myself a Republican. I'm not, before this, I'm not all that political, honestly. I've been watching what's going on now, especially because of the nature of everything. It's real life, and we have some pretty dangerous stuff knocking on our doors, and a lot of people are asleep or completely blinded and standing behind these things. But it's it's just they don't have any unity around anything. Their whole platform, all they stand on and for, seemingly, from my point of view and from much of America's point of view, is hatred of Donald Trump. That's what unites them. That's the only thing that unites them. If it wasn't for that, they'd be eating themselves up more than they already are anyway. But is that really a viable platform to stand on? Is that really a foundation that we want our leaders to be basing their whole election or their whole policy? Everything is based on getting Donald Trump out, because he's such an evil Nazi, KKK, racist, sexist, bigoted, horrible Dr. Evil type villain that should be ripped out of office by any means necessary. It's almost become cartoonish, honestly. It's insane to me how consistently they attack him like that. And again, I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm a Republican. Hey, let's all get the Democrats. I'm just trying to put into words the things that I see on TV right in front of me. I can't even watch any news because all it's about is trashing Donald Trump, and it's just got so tired, man. I can't even stand to see it anymore because it's so childish. When I look on TV and I see people blaming him for things like COVID and what else has he done? Sparking off and making the riots in Portland worse when he sent troops in to protect the federal buildings and stuff. The acting like it was all peaceful pretty much until he came there, and that made it violent. So when he left, it should have went back to peaceful, which actual real life, real world evidence shows us in front of our face, even if you need video evidence, shows us that before the federal officer got there, they were rioting and burning the city down. While they were there, they were burning and rioting and burning the city down. And after they left, they were rioting and burning the city down. And I mean, they get on TV and they start spitting these lies. I mean, they're just complete and total lies. And nobody ever calls them on it. It just can go on and on. So this whole deception and this whole painting of Donald Trump is some evil, fascist dictator that just wants to be king. It's a false narrative. Honestly, when you take a step back and look at these two parties right now, look at these two parties and see, where is the hatred coming from? Like, right in front of our eyes, right where you can hear it, where's the hatred coming from? Exactly. I mean, to be honest, I guess you could say it's coming from both sides, because Donald Trump's Donald Trump. He's going to say things the way he says them, but honestly, much of what he says is true, and it's what a lot of people are thinking, but he will say it, and that's why he's president right now. That's the only reason, because he can take this constant bombardment all the time and still do his job. So back to the point I'm making, we look at what are the fruits that these parties, that these people are producing. All I see coming out of the Democrat side is hatred, vitriol, investigations, accusations, lies, hoaxes. That's all I see coming. I mean, that's a lot, but it's all negative. It's all bad. There's nothing solid that they stand on to build from. They just want to cause chaos and point fingers and virtue signal and tell everybody else how to live. They don't realize that the party of, you can't tell me what to say, you can't tell me what to do with my body, I'm free, you can't tell me anything. They've turned into the religious Pharisees of this day who stand up pointing their finger, judging everyone around them as if they don't have any problems of their own, and they don't offer any They don't offer any solutions or ideas to fix the things that they're complaining about. And I mean, again, I don't see how any rational human person can look at what they're saying, what's happening, what's going on in all these cities that the Democrats have ruled for decades. Look at the fruit of these cities. Look at the fruit of what the welfare system has done to these communities. Look at the fruit of what their policies have done to these cities. The most dangerous ones with the most black lives dying and in danger are the very cities that they vote for the governor, that they vote these people in. And they vote them in because they give them a handout. They give them a handout, straight up. And this is where it gets real hard, but I don't want to say this in a look down my nose way. I don't want people to think that that's why I'm doing this stuff, because I'm just trying to teach them how to live, because, man, I've been on food stamps. We never qualified for welfare, even when we needed it. We tried to get it, but we couldn't get it because apparently we were too rich. Which, if that doesn't incentivize one of us stopping working so we can get a check, I mean, that's what I've seen on the streets. That would incentivize them. But they tell especially a certain community, especially the black community, that they can't make it on their own and that they need this system in place. And then they incentivize not having fathers in the home because they'll get more money if the father's not in the home, and they get more money with each kid that they have. So that incentivizes them having as many kids as they end up having. They're not too worried about it because it just means a bigger check every month. And they rely on this. And now they've relied on it and passed it down for generation after generation. There's 3 generations deep in welfare, and they're told that they can't do it, that this system is racist against them, and that there's no way that they can make it out, and that they just have a knee on their neck of the white man who's privileged in every way and just has it so easy that he walks out the door and gets handed money. And it's a lie. These things are lies. It's not true. Number one, the biggest lie is telling the African American community, is the one I'm specifically talking to, but honestly, in welfare, it doesn't matter what color you are, the same things apply, but they have incentivized it, and they did aim it directly at the black community when it all started for this purpose, and look what it does. Look at the fruit of generations of these policies that they keep voting for. It seems so virtuous and so loving and kind to help support these people, to help feed their children. They need it, man. These kids can't go hungry. And that's true. But the kind of system you have set up does not incentivize anyone to make it better. If they're driven people, then they're going to be driven people anyway. They're going to be able to get off it anyway because they'll want to get off it. But whenever you don't have to, and even worse, when you're raised that this is just how it works, this is who takes care of us, Big Daddy government is who supports my family. No, man, you can do better yourself. Where they say you can't make it, man, that is a lie. You have the power to build stuff and the freedom in this country to do anything. The only thing that holds you back is you and your drive. And, we can say that, there's systemic racism and the black man has it so hard and he can't make it because the system's just built up against him. And then this system is just full of white supremacy and white privilege. And if you're white, you can just make it. You got it easy. It's good. It's not hard. You can go get a bank loan. You can go get this and that. And that's a lie. Because you know why? I didn't have this white privilege. I didn't grow up with this. And most of the black people, the black women telling me this, grew up with every advantage in upper middle class families, sent to Ivy League schools. Now I have Harvard graduate black women telling me about my white privilege. Got Oprah Winfrey on TV telling us about our white privilege and how blacks are just held down and repressed. Well, how did she make it? How come I'm don't have an empire like her? How did she get it? Maybe hard work, huh? You think the hard work and dedication she put into it and all the hours that she dedicated her life to that, you think that had anything to do with it? You think if a white person put in that time and effort and did everything that she did, you think they could make it? Because I do. I do believe that. I do believe if we go make the work. And my point with this is, if you say that blacks are repressed and whites are not, and I say didn't have any privilege, I didn't have any opportunities handed to me or anything like that, or advantages given to me because my family's power or money. I didn't have any of that. So if I say if it's not true in my case, and it's not true in the Ivy League graduate black woman who grew up in an upper middle class family with mom and dad, if it's not true in their situation, then what they're saying isn't true, period. If it doesn't apply to every single one, you can't talk about it as if it applies to every single one. And another thing, and this probably will be the last thing I touch on in this video, because again, man, I want to talk about these things to think about them. I don't want to talk about it like an accusory finger pointing type way. And I want it to be known, the people who know me, of course, probably the only people watching this video are people that know me, but anyway, they know I didn't grow up this way. They know how I feel about black people or any people. I grew up in Generation X, man. To be honest, I grew up with the idea that this racism stuff was over. When I grew up in high school, everybody was cool with everyone. Like I said, even in high school, the necks and the black people would talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't like that. And all of a sudden now we're told that it's just completely racist, that the black man has no chance and he's being hunted dead in the streets. And, you know, this is another honesty point that they don't want to hear. If you say it, you're just labeled a racist or whatever. But for the 9 unarmed black men who were shot and killed by cops last year, they are burning down and tearing down cities. But there's been more than 20 black men who have died in these riots. And nobody's saying a word. Twice the men. In these few months, more than twice the people that the black men that the cops have killed, more than twice that many black men have been killed in these riots by, well, actually, I don't know exactly who. They could have been killed by white people, black people, Mexicans. I don't know who they were killed by. But, I mean, if Black Lives Matter, then how come this doesn't matter? You can't, I mean, they've taken it to where the only black lives that matter are the 9 black men killed by white cops. Even if it's a black man killed by a black cop, that's not fitting their narrative, so that black life doesn't matter. They've been backed into a corner where it's only about the black lives killed by white cops. And that's silly. That's silly when there's thousands aborted every year. Thousands of black people systematically aborted every year. But where are the voices for that? Well, I've heard some. Miss Beverly Beatty's out there talking about that. And more people are. The Lord is working. His Spirit is exposing these lies and revealing the truth. And there's a lot of truths that need to be revealed. There's a lot of corruption that needs to be revealed in all politics, in all the government. I'm not putting my eggs in any basket but Jesus's. You know, I'm going to look, I'm going to watch, and I'm going to assess situations, and I'm going to deal with them as they come up like that. I'm not going to keep labeling people and judging people by these scarecrows that we make, and all it causes is chaos. Just look around. And I'm just asking people, seriously, don't just get mad at hate and yell at me. Look at these things in truth. Look at them honestly and tell me that where I've lied, where I've mischaracterized any part of this. If the Democrats Party isn't only standing on hate, then please give me a rundown of what else they're planning to do besides get Trump out of office and go back to bowing down to China. Man, we're in crazy times, and we need to recognize that some of these things that we're being sold, they sound so good in the flesh. They sound so right and so fair. But you got to look at a little bit bigger picture, brothers and sisters. You have to see it a little bit bigger. You have to take a step back and look in reality, just like our Lord said. That's where I'm really going, is Jesus Christ told us how he was asked, how do we know who's Christian? How do we know them? And Jesus tells us you'll know them by their fruit. You'll know if a person is good or bad by the fruit around them. That means, is there always chaos around them? Is there always some problem? Is there always something missing or some kind of drama? Is there laughter? Is there, help being given? Is there love? Is there smiles? Is there the gospel being preached? What's the fruit around them? And then when you look, just boil it down to this. Besides all the evil things that they've said about Donald Trump, we have to take a look at what he's done. Everything from the most booming economy in history, in all history. Now they want to say, oh, he can't run the economy, it's all trash, because the COVID virus. That wasn't, I mean, that's just such a weak argument. I wish they'd just shut up about it. But anyway, he honestly, he helped everyone in that. Black unemployment was through the roof higher than it's ever been. Unemployment was higher. Everything was better. The fruit was good. And the fruit was getting better. Prison reform, he did that. He doesn't get credit for any of this stuff, but he did do that. He just did a historic Middle Eastern deal that could very well lead to peace in the Middle East like there's never been before, and you won't hear a word about it. There's good fruit coming from Donald Trump, whether you like his personality or not. There's not good fruit coming from the Democratic Party. Oh, I can't stand to hear it. All they do is accuse him, like they have nothing else to do. There's nothing else to handle in this country right now other than hate Donald Trump. That's the party. I can't get behind that. I know there's a lot of people who are leaving from behind that because there's nothing there. There's no substance. They have no values to stand on. They have no plan to stand on. All they have is hatred for Donald Trump. And man, this video is probably, again, not as uniting and seemingly unbiased, I guess, as I want them to be. But honestly, I'm just trying to speak the truth. So if anyone sees this and they want to point out something that I'm completely wrong about, then man, I will go back and I will research it. And when I'm wrong, then I will honestly, I will admit it, thank the person for pointing it out, and move and change my mind and judgment based on the new information. But I just the things I'm talking about I don't really see them being a matter of left or right at this point, even though I'm talking about the left and right. What I'm talking about is the actions and deeds of these parties, what we hear them say, what we see them do, what we see coming from the things that they do. And what's coming from Donald Trump, besides the tweets and the mouth and the people who hate him talking smack about him, he's getting good work done. He's getting historic work done. I mean, historically, he's done more as a president in his first term than many of the presidents ever have done at all. But he doesn't get credit for that because he's just a racist, bigoted, Nazi, fascist, the fascist that lets everyone bash him all day, every day. Fascists would shut all that stuff down, and that's another crazy thing. If the left got the system that they're advocating for, all these protests, any of this stuff would be shut down. They wouldn't allow it. If they had the government they want, they couldn't do what they're doing right now. They couldn't. So if they get this government, and they'll love it for as long as they're in charge, but once something changes that they disagree with, that government's got the power, and now they're at its mercy. They don't understand the monster they're trying to create here. The men who made this country were not perfect by any means. And when they made the Constitution, when they made these things, the country wasn't even living up to them at that point. There's no doubt about that. But which one of us is perfect? And the things that they wrote, the things that they made in that Constitution, they are pure genius, and they're rooted on a foundation. And the foundation is God. And what we see now is the result of trying to take God out of that. Because all you're left with is opinion. And now you got everybody sitting up on a seat, drilling people, telling them how wrong they are and how dare they do this and all these things because they feel like they're right. But the other side feels like they're right. And when you remove the ultimate law that governs all things, all you're left with is opinions that are equal. You don't get to say my opinion, how I think things should work or is better than the way you think things should work. There's no authority to back that up other than your own assertions. So, chaos. So, might is right. So, the survival of the fittest. And that's what happens when we abandon God. And that's the judgment that we'll be under when we do that. It's not necessarily God decreeing these things to happen. They happen on their own because we're not following God. We do them without a doubt. And when we realize that and we stop and we turn back to God and we call on Him, He's merciful. He's merciful to save. And that's my main thing. This is what we have to do to join together, man. These back and forths of Trump did this, the Democrats did this, and I was talking about how they vilify Trump, but on the other side, they vilify the others, like they just want to destroy the country and they just want to do this and they're just evil. They have these bad intentions, and I don't believe that's true, and that's not healthy either. We should not do that. I don't think the Democratic side is purposefully bad, at least in the general sense. Each person you have to judge on their own. You don't know their motives. But, I think Democrats are carrying people who want to help. I honestly think that they want to help. But a lot of the things they advocate for and the policies that they want and the systems that they want have been tried before, and they fail. Our government, this Constitution, has lasted for more than 200 years now. It's solid, and it works for one reason and one reason only, because it was built on a solid foundation. So I'm going to end with that, but I hope y'all all have a good day. Man, any Democrats out there, I love you. I don't think you're evil. I don't think you have bad agendas. Any Republicans out there, I love you. I don't think you're bad. I don't think you have evil intentions. I believe we all want what's best for our people, and I pray that there's some peace and that we try to find some common ground. I also pray that people, that this doesn't trigger too many people anyway. Thank you all and have a great day. Bye.